Hello everyone, this is Samiling, your OLC, and welcome to the G course Understanding the Self. So for our learning objectives, at the end of our discussion as learners, of course, you were expected to first differentiate the concept of self according to Western thought against Eastern or Oriental perspectives. Second, explain the concept of self as found in Asian thoughts. So today we will be discussing the self when it comes to the Western and Eastern perspectives. So according to Confucius, we have here Confucianism. So Confucianism can be seen as a code of ethical conduct of how we should properly act according to our relationship with other people. Thus, it is also focused on having a harmonious social life. So, in other words, Confucianism's concept is telling us that it's important for us to have a good relationship with others. So, it has something to do with the self, with an individual, and his or her relationship with other people, with the society. Okay, so that is Confucianism. Now, how about Taoism? Now, Taoism is living in the way of the Tao or the universe. However, Taoism rejects having one definition of what the Tao is, and one can only state clues of what is they adopt a free flowing, relative unitary, as well as paradoxical view of almost everything. Now, in Taoism, this is something to do with our relationship, our relatedness with our universe, with the rest, with everything around us. That is Taoism. So this has something to do with our harmonious relationship, okay, with our surroundings, with everything around us. So that's the concept of Taoism. Now, how about Buddhism, which was introduced by Buddha? Now, Buddhism, the self is seen as an illusion born out of ignorance, of trying to hold and control things or human-centered needs. So in Buddhism class, it focuses on the self and the relationship of the self with that of the physical body. So it focuses on the physical body, the physical self. So it is centered on the self, the human needs. So this is has something to do with our desires, with our needs, how we can satisfy the physical self. And it says here that therefore, the self is also the source of all these sufferings. So since it is the body or the physical self that we tend to satisfy, that we have to take good care of, so it's also the physical self that suffers from the consequences of whatever action we do. So it's the source of the suffering that is in Buddhism. Now let's try to look into the Western and with that of the Eastern culture when it comes to the perspective of self. Now, the Western culture is what we would call an individualistic culture since their focus is on the person. So it is individualistic. It focuses on the individual. Unlike in Asian culture, It is called as collectivistic culture. So it's as a group. It has something to do with the social relations. So it's the emphasis, or it's the focal point wherein the person, the individual, the self has a relationship with the rest of the society. He or she has a relationship with other people. So it's given more importance than just simply satisfying the needs, the physical needs or the desires of the self. So you see the difference between the Western and with that of the culture. So in Western, the focus is on the self, the focus is on the person, the individual. But in Asian culture, the focus is on the individual's relationship with other people, the individual's relationship with a group or with the society where he or she belongs. By valuing the individual, Westerners may seem to have loose associations or even loyalty to their groups. So since they are more on the individualistic culture, so no wonder that there would be lack of association with other people and lack of loyalty to the group where they belong, since the focus is on the self, the person, the individual. So it says here that competition is the name of the game. And they are more likely straightforward and forceful in their communication as well as the decision making. So in the Western culture, when they communicate, they are straightforward and they are forceful, since they don't care about how the other person would feel when saying this. Or let's say they are very frank. Okay, they would just simply express themselves. They can just freely tell things, tell you straightforward. Okay, they are very forceful. So they won't mind if you will be hurt or not, for as long as they are expressing themselves. This is how they feel, so this is how they would express it. Okay, so that's in the Western culture. Unlike in Asian culture, that of course we tend to sugarcoat our words. We tend to think also of how the other person would feel before saying things. So that is the difference between the Western and with that of the Eastern culture that could greatly affect when it comes to the perspective of the self. Now, the Eastern or Oriental persons look forward, or look after, I should say, the welfare of their groups and values cooperation, which is true. We tend to really look after the welfare of the other people. So we mind, okay, we care about the other person's feelings or emotions. So it's really important for us as Asians to really value our relationship with them. So we value the groups, we value a cooperation. That's why it's really collectivistic in nature. So they would also be more compromising and they tend to go around the bush in explaining things, hoping that the other person would feel what they want to say. So as I made mention, as Eastern or Oriental persons, we tend to go around the bush rather than going straight forward, rather than being frank. So we would rather sugarcoat our words, or we would use or choose to say positive things, okay, rather than really being honest, or we would try to make it a lot easier for the other person to accept it. So that's Eastern and Oriental thinking or culture, because we care about the feelings, about the emotions of this person. So we would rather compromise, we would rather compromise being straightforward, forceful, saying things and expressing how you really feel, what you really feel, or what you really want to say, rather than really going straight forward. So that's the difference between Western and with that of the Eastern. Another, Westerns also emphasize more on the value of equality, even if they see that the individual can rise above everything else. So the good thing about Western culture, yeah, they are individualistic when it comes to culture, but they also value this equality. So it's like, yes, everybody is his or her on his, everybody can do it. Okay, everybody is equal. Okay, that's in Western. So there's this equality. They value equality. They value fairness, despite of their culture that they are individualistic rather than collectivistic. So because everyone is on their own in the competition, mind your own business. So this is my business. I would mind this. So that's individualistic in nature. Okay, one can say that also promote ideals that create fairness, competition, and protect the individual. So that's a good thing about them. Despite the fact that they are individualistic in culture, they also promote equality. They also promote fairness. Okay, that I have to mind my own business. Everybody is equal. Everybody has his or her right. Unlike in Asians, of course, since the culture in Asia would be collectivistic in nature, so they put more, or we put more emphasis on hierarchy, as the culture wants to keep things in harmony and order. So we respect authorities. That's in Asian culture. We respect rankings. We have this hierarchy or positions. So we look up to those people up there who are higher than us, giving us orders. And we obey all those rules, regulations. We follow them because we believe that there should be harmony, there should be order. So, of course, when you try to compare that with your group, let's say, for example, in your group project, somebody has to lead, right? And you have to follow your leader, obey your leader, okay, so that there will be harmonious relationship. There is order, because it would be chaotic for a group without a leader, without somebody leading the group, right? So that's the good thing about the Asian culture. Okay, so I guess we now see the similarities or the difference and the differences of the two. So there are really differences, but I guess we can still see the bright side of each culture. So with that of the Western and the Asian culture. So we have here an example when it comes to dealing with with the adults, with our bosses, with our parents or seniors. So in Western culture, they would address these people according to their first name. So they're into the use of the first name basis. Let's say if I were a Westerner, then I would address my mom according to her first name. Let's say Emma, then I would just call her Emma rather than calling her mom. Although some Westerners would say mom, but they are very open as to the use of the first name basis, okay, for their parents, for their seniors, bosses, and seniors. Now, the boss can also be approached head on when conflicts or problems about him or her arises. So they are very open. Okay, they can just simply approach someone who's in authority. They can just simply approach the boss or someone who is higher than them. Unlike in Asian culture that we have respect to our authorities, we have respect to our elders, our bosses, our seniors, because we believe in hierarchy, in ranking. which is also a good thing. Okay, I guess this would be my bias when it comes to the Asian culture, that we have respect for our elders, our seniors, to our parents. And a lot of workers would not dare go against the high-ranking officials. Yes, we tend to follow orders from our authorities. We tend to follow orders from high-ranking officials, from our leaders, because we look up to them, we respect them. That's how we see the hierarchy, the ranking, because we believe that there should be harmonious relationship, there should be order. Okay, so I do hope that you see the difference between the two cultures. Okay, so in Western, okay, they are free to approach people despite of the ranking, despite of the hierarchy, and they are using the first name basis in approaching them. Unlike in Asian culture, we have respect and we have high regard of our leaders, of the people higher than us. Now, it must be emphasized, however, that these are general commonalities among Western cultures. So those are the general concepts when it comes to the Western culture as to compare to these Asian or Oriental cultures. Now, how about in the case of the Philippines? So let's see. Now, we can also consider the colonization experience for differences and similarities with our Asian neighbors. We might also find variation among provinces and regions due to geographical conditions. Now, in the Philippines, I can say that we are not only collectivistic in nature, but at the same time, we are quite individualistic in nature also when it comes to our culture. And this resulted because of what we call the colonization experiences. Since we were colonized by different countries, so no wonder that there are so many influences that could greatly affect our culture, different cultures from the Philippines, different perspectives from the Philippines. We were conquered by the US, we were conquered by Japan, we were conquered by the Spain, and if I'm not mistaken, even Britain. So no wonder that we have different cultures. So it's like Philippines has a mixture of cultures. And when it comes to the geographical conditions, that can also be considered as another factor to consider why is it that we have an individualistic nature as Filipinos. Since our, if you are to look on our map, okay, the map of the Philippines, isn't it that we are divided, or yeah, we are divided into islands. Okay, the Philippines is divided into islands. So we are separated by waters. So no wonder that there's this individualistic culture. The Luzon part has its culture. Same with the Visayan region. Okay, the Visayas has also its own culture. Okay, and quite different also with the culture of the Mindanao. Okay, so we are divided. Okay, we are united, yes, as one country, but at the same time, I guess we are also divided. And these are the factors why, in some ways, we are divided because of the colonization experiences and, of course, our geographical conditions. Now we have here the summary of the two cultures, the Eastern and the Western, when it comes also to the philosophy and perspectives of the self. So in Eastern, it's universal. In Western, individual. In Eastern, the focus is on the soul and intellect. In Western, there's this accumulation of knowledge. Then in Eastern, there's this interrelatedness or oneness, since we are after harmonious relationship. Then in Western, separate parts from the whole. So they believe that there's equality. Okay? However, they believe that every individual, his or has his, her, or her own right to be on his own. Then harmony and unified, yes, since we are harmonious. Then Western, there's mastery and control of reality. Then Eastern, adapt to external change, and Western, apart from and within, since it is individualistic in nature. Now, I have here a question for you to ponder. Okay, so if you have your notes there or paper and pen, please, or your phone, then please take note of this. Which Eastern quote strikes you the most and why? Again, which Eastern quote strikes you the most and why? So I'll be presenting here the Eastern quotes. So there are only three Eastern quotes. Then I just want you to select one quote which you think really strikes you the most. Then later on we'll hear out your reasons why is it that you like this? Why is it that this strikes you the most? So the first quote, we have respect yourself and others will respect you. Again, respect yourself and others will respect you. This is from Confucius. Second, knowledge, okay, knowing others, I should say, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Again, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. So this is according to Lao Tzu. Okay, next we have also the last Eastern quote. We have, each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. Again, each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. This is from Buddha. All right, so I do hope you were able to get all those three and just select, okay, or from these three Eastern quotes, okay, what do you think? What what are your thoughts, okay, or what particular quote, okay, that really strikes you the most, or that really has an impact on you? Okay, so ponder on this. I want you to ponder on that. So to end this session, I have here a quote from Frederick Lenz, and it says here that I am Western, and I see no need or reason to change that. The Western lifestyle has many things to offer. As to the Eastern methods of self-discovery, I think blending the two is very desirable. So I do hope that you learn many things from this lesson. Okay, so in other words, in Western and Eastern cultures or perspectives, we can learn a lot of things from the two perspectives when it comes to understanding ourselves, our identity. But I like here, as made mention by Frederick, okay, I like this that he said that why not just blend the two? Or blending the two is very desirable. Yeah, there are similarities and differences as to the two perspectives. There are really differences. Okay, they have unique concepts to offer us, but I think it would also be good to why not combine or blend the two perspectives together in order for us to understand our identity or understand ourselves. I do hope that you learn many things from this lesson, the Western and the Eastern perspectives when it comes to the study of the self or understanding the self. Okay, thank you so much for listening.